Welcome back to 1834 Restoration House.
It is the dead heat of summer here in South Carolina. It's so hot, it's so humid, it's absolutely unbearable, and we can't do any work outside.
We can't do any work upstairs either because there's no climate control.
There is no climate control. This 130-year-old house never had any kind of air conditioning or heating upstairs.
Right.
Today, we're going to fix that. We are Mike and Jeannie, and we restore old houses. In 2021, we moved to South Carolina and bought a 120-year-old Victorian house. Follow along as we put the polish back on this Victorian masterpiece. So after being in this house for 4 years, we finally pulled the trigger on a new climate control system for the upstairs. So this will be the first time ever.
Yes.
First time ever. It's really exciting.
It is. Thing is, we plan on putting it into the attic and then putting the ductwork on top. So right now, as you can imagine, it's like 130, 150 degrees up in that attic.
It is.
There's no ventilation system up there, which we'd like to change that too. Mm-hmm. So it gets really hot, it doesn't get out, and there's no way we can do that part right now.
Definitely. Well, let me introduce you to our new system. Now, originally I was thinking that we would do a furnace with an air conditioning unit down on the ground. And I was intrigued by the whole concept of the heat pump because you don't have to have a furnace. And I thought, well, that's really great. But then I looked into it and I found out that it doesn't generate enough heat in cold weather. And so you would have to put in heat strips, which run on electricity, in order to get that extra heat. They call it emergency heat. And that's not good because that costs a lot of money to run. Okay, but since we started this project a couple of years ago, trying to figure this out and talk about it, in the meantime, they came out with a new technology. This is called an inverter heat pump system, and it has the ability to heat all the way down to 22 below zero outside. In North Carolina, it never is going to get 22 below, so we should never have, huh?
We're in South Carolina.
We are. See, the heat's affecting my brain already. Anyway.
In his defense, he does go up to North Carolina just about every week for parts of his job.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. And around here, it all kinds of feels the same anyway. But anyway, so this is the system. This is an outdoor mounting bracket. This here is the outdoor unit, and this is the indoor unit. So let's go ahead and unbox these and see what we got.
Oh my, okay.
What? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, let's do this.
All right.
All right. These are the brackets, and there's really nothing to them. But the idea is that you mount this to the foundation wall right here, and then your unit will sit on this. And there are two of these, and that is pretty much all that's in that box. This is a system, it's called ACIQ. And the outdoor unit is much different than what you expect to see on normal air conditioning systems. They're usually just a big box like that, stands about that tall, and they make a lot of noise. This one is much different. That's the outdoor unit. I was shocked because I ordered the thing on a Friday and it showed up on Monday, the whole thing. Truck delivered it. Let me explain really quick how an air conditioning system works. So you have what's called a compressor, and what it does is it compresses Freon to make it hot. And when that hot Freon gets to the compressor, it blows that heat out to the atmosphere and cools it off, and then that cooler liquid suddenly gets to expand and becomes a cold gas. That cold gas goes into your house through the evaporator coil, picks up the heat, and then sends it back outside again. And so a air conditioning system doesn't put cold air into your house. What it's doing is it's removing the heat from your house. What a heat pump does is essentially it's able to operate in reverse. And so normally where you'd be pumping the heat out of the house and dumping it into the atmosphere, the the heat pump has the ability to turn that around and pump the heat that's in the atmosphere and put it into your house, if that makes sense. And it doesn't really make sense to the logical brain how that could possibly happen, but let's say if it's 30 degrees outside, there's still heat. There's still heat. And that system will grab that heat and concentrate it and put it into the house and warm the house. I know it sounds like nonsense, but it really does work. And this system says that they can do it down to minus 22. All right, now this is the indoor unit. It's also called an air handler. So its job is to take the air and blow it across a coil and then out to the ductwork, and then it goes out into the rooms. You then have a return air duct which pulls air from the rooms and goes back to the air handler again. So it's basically just moving air through it. And the coil in here, which you get to see a little better here in a second, will either put heat into the room or take heat out of the room. Let's see if I can get this thing off of here. Whoa. There went the ceiling fan. All right, you guys, this is the air handler. So your ductwork goes here and your ductwork goes there. We'll be installing it as a horizontal flow air handler. All right, there are a few things packed in here that need to come out. Instruction manual, a few odds and ends, and then this piece of foam here keeps the blower from turning. Okay, down inside here is a squirrel cage blower, and there's also a coil where the refrigerant goes through and the air blows across that, and that is it. This is just nothing more than an air handler. It's not a furnace. Here you can see the refrigerant connections. You have the low pressure line, which is the big one, and the high pressure line, which is the small one. So this one connects to this one, and this one connects to this one with a long line set. That line set is going to go from outdoors under the house up 2 floors into the attic, and that's how it'll connect up. Now, in order to pressurize this thing and work on that, you have to have an EPA certification. I don't have that. I've done everything else with these type of systems before, but I never bothered to get my EPA cert. So what we'll be doing is bringing in a contractor who does have the cert, and he will go ahead and pressurize the system and get it set up. But we'll do everything else here. These outdoor units were designed to either be mounted on a concrete pad or on brackets mounted to the foundation wall. And I've chosen to mount it to the foundation wall for 2 reasons. A, most everybody else is doing that, and B, if you set it down on a concrete pad, that just means these are going to rust out sooner because they're always wet. If they're mounted up, they'll have a chance for the water to run off and dry. The first thing I need to do is measure how far apart this is, and that looks like about 26 and an eighth, maybe 20. I'm going to say 26. It seems like we always run into trouble here at 1834 Restoration House, and today is no exception. So this is the bracket that the website said was supposed to go with this unit. And we did a test fit to see, does it go this way? Does it go this way? We tried, and either way we didn't match up with the holes that are here on the bottom of the unit. And so I went back and checked the website again just to be sure, and it said this is the bracket. So I called them up, and she did some research real quick and discovered that the bracket that's supposed to be with this is back ordered. And so what they did is they said, well, we'll just ship these things instead. Well, they don't work. Her suggestion was that we just get a bracket locally that was made for this. And lo and behold, no pun intended, it actually was available at Lowe's. So let me show you what we got. This is the Mr. Cool system, and it is compatible with this unit here because it's adjustable and we can set it the way we want it. Now, I've never done one of these before, but every house that we've ever owned, I think with one exception, we've put in an HVAC system, but it's always been the more traditional furnace, and outdoor unit type of setup. So this is new technology. It's new to me, and we're going to walk through this and see if we can't make this thing work. But here's what I do know. These brackets here, when they go together, will allow us to mount this to the wall, and it should fit perfectly because everything is adjustable. We can make it exactly like we need it to be. This is a nice unit here. It actually has rubber isolation pads. That's going to prevent the vibration from this unit from getting into the house and resonating. So that's pretty cool. It also has a tiny spirit level. And these are, of course, the lag bolts that go into the brickwork. It's early evening. It's cooled off a little bit, and the wind is blowing, which makes it a lot more comfortable out here. I'm not going to say it's comfortable, but it's a little more comfortable than it would be otherwise. All right, this is our existing air conditioning and heater unit. It's called a package, and the whole thing either blows hot or it blows cold into ductwork that goes under the house. Look how big this thing is. And there are some here in South Carolina that are even bigger than that. I've seen some that are like this tall and just enormous, enormous units. Well, this new unit we're putting in, of course, it's only going to heat and cool the upstairs, but it is much, much smaller, and it's going to sit right here. Now, a couple of years ago, I think it's been that long actually, I went ahead and put a new circuit in here, anticipating that one day we'd be putting some kind of unit outside. The existing unit sits on a concrete pad. The new unit is going to mount to the wall, so we won't have a pad right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out a spot right here, somewhere between the hose and the electrical, and we'll mount the bracket. So this is the wall mount right here. It goes on the wall like that. And then we have two of these that slide on like that, one on each side, and then the unit will sit on top of that. So in order to do this, what I want to do is move this to the middle. I have a bubble level here in the middle, and I want to get this down to about where I'm going to go 27. So 27 will get us the 26 inches height of the unit and still keep us off the woodwork. All right, so let's go ahead and pull that over like that, so it's about halfway between, I'm thinking. And let's just double check that measurement. I'm going to go ahead and make some marks. I'll just go ahead and mark out where I need to drill my holes. Oops. This is a hammer drill, and we've had this ever since we started our channel because we used it in New York trying to knock mortar out of some of the joints in the basement walls. You can either drill holes with the hammer, or you can just plain old hammer. It doesn't make a really good drill by itself unless you're knocking on it. They're really made for bricks, blocks, concrete, that sort of thing. And so what I've done is I put a piece of tape on here. The manual says to stop the drill depth at 2 3/4 of an inch, and that's exactly what I did. So when my flag touches the wall, I know I'm deep enough. So let's come on over here and see if I can find my little circle marks. Here it is. Well, that was interesting. The moment that the tape touched the wall, it popped through the other side. So it looks like I don't have to worry about that after all. Let's go ahead and do the other two. All right, we've got our 3 holes drilled. Now let's go ahead and put the bolts in. These bolts are made so that they can either go into masonry, like we're doing here today, or they can go into wood. All right, I was just about to put this on here, and Jeannie pointed something out that was probably pretty obvious to you and her, but I didn't see it. If I put the bolt on here, I won't be able to slide that on like that. So that means I have to put it on ahead of time. But I can do the center bolt first, which is what I'll do. And that is right here. So I'll just start it by hand and then get the wrench on it. I'm putting on loose to start with, and the instructions are very clear not to over tighten, because you can actually rip the threads that you've created into the bricks. We don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and put this on here first. Okay, now the other one. So now that we've got this, we need to figure out how far apart the mounting holes on the outdoor unit are, and then we can slide these back and forth, and then we'll be marking and drilling more holes here and here, and that'll tie everything to the wall good and solid. Now, I came across something funny in the manual. The very last thing that it says here is, disclaimer, air conditioner is not included with the bracket. All right, good to know. I measured the condenser unit, and even with these all the way out like this, it's not quite wide enough yet. So we're trying to figure out if we need to put these under the bolts, because there are slots for that purpose. So I think we're going to have to get creative here just a little bit. It turns out that there was another version of this that was bigger and sturdier, but it was made for a 400-pound unit. We're nowhere near that. So I think because it's getting dark and mosquitoes are coming out and Jeannie's back there doing like this, I think we better shut this thing off and pick it up in the morning. Behold, the ASIC air conditioning, well, heat pump unit. Yeah, what's really amazing is how much smaller this thing is than our other unit sitting right over here. Anyway, it's hot. And
very hot.
Bugs are flying around, and so we're going to go back inside, and we will see you guys
on the next video.
On the next video.
Thank you for watching 1834 Restoration House.